Have you ever been singing and noticed that as you're performing, your throat gets tight, you feel like you have less control over your breath, and singing is just hard to do? Chances are, if you're experiencing some trouble when you're performing in front of other people and it's go time, you might be experiencing performance anxiety. Hey, you guys, I'm Crystal Sherrill from Indie Artist School. Welcome to the Singer's Arsenal. So in today's episode, I want to talk about some ways that you can overcome performance anxiety. These are very simple things that you can do. And so I'm very excited about this because it is something that we all know about. And for many people, they can train their voice for so long, but without addressing performance anxiety, it could be the reason why you just record at your house and never perform live. So let's nip that in the bud right now. The first thing about performance anxiety and a way that you can overcome it so that you could sing and perform with confidence, shifting your mindset. And that is getting into the mindset of living, breathing experience. When you're performing and you're singing a song, you are actually in a moment right now and you're sharing that moment with your crowd. But if you're experiencing anxiety, you're totally out of the moment. And that is one of the reasons why a performance is not quite there. It's when you're thinking too much about how you're doing while you're doing it. It's when you're thinking so much about what could go wrong in the performance, in the middle of doing it, before, during, after, all of that. So in order to take your power back, okay, let's call a spade a spade. If you feel anxiety is already revving up, the mindset that you need to think about is, okay, what can I do right now to make this better? If you're singing and you're noticing, okay, I'm tensing up and I'm running out of breath, just focus on controlling your breath. If you want to take your voice to the next level, schedule a vocal diagnostic with me. In this diagnostic session, I help you solve your most high priority vocal problem, whether you know which one it is or not. I will help you identify it and fix it in just 15 minutes. If that sounds like something that you are interested in, go ahead and book the vocal diagnostic with me. Fix my voice. If you're ready for that, scan the QR code you see on the screen, take a pic. You got it? Okay, good. The second thing that you need to do when you are experiencing performance anxiety is isolate and understand, how does your body feel right now? And this is something that I want you to try multiple times, because you're going to start noticing a pattern that you always react a certain way when you get anxious or when you get frustrated in the middle of your performance. I notice that I feel like a tightening, feeling like a squeezing, wanting to, that fight, flight, freeze response. Maybe you get angry, you get frustrated, and physically it feels like your muscles are very tight. If you notice that that is what happens every time you are having a performance that you're not too proud of in the middle of it, or you're being too much in your head, focus on, instead of, okay, I didn't do well, instead of letting that spiral into making every line worse and worse and worse as you go, you can then say, okay, I need a counteractive physical response to the impact of anxiety. Example, if you tense up when you're stressed, do a relaxing knee bend. Another thing you could do is to relax your shoulders. Another thing you could do is to breathe out a little bit more than you normally would if you feel like you're running on a treadmill and can't catch your breath. You can do that in between your phrases so that you can catch your breath. Things like that are how you can counteract the negative physical response you get when you're performing that's stopping you from singing well. The biggest thing is awareness. A lot of times when you are performing, you don't even notice that your body is doing these things. All you know is it feels uncomfortable. I don't like it, and it's making my performance worse, right? So right now, I want you to really get tapped into your body. How does it feel when you're experiencing performance anxiety? Really do a scan from the top of your head all the way down to your feet. Do you lock your knees? Are you more fidgety? Do you have like excess energy? Stuff like that. It's really good to know. And if you have those physiological responses, I don't want you to judge it. I want you to understand that this is just information, and it's your body's way of trying to regulate your system. It happens inevitably to everyone who's a performer, whether you're new or you've been performing for years. Chances are you're going to experience performance anxiety at some point in your career. And so you just need tools so that you can overcome them when they show up. The other thing that you could do is embrace the creativity that exists in a live performance. Understand that variations in a performance is not always a bad thing. If you're aiming for something and you miss, you can turn that into a new, beautiful thing that didn't exist before. It makes me think about Prince. One of the greatest things I think is amazing about him is that he didn't really get hung up on mistakes. He saw mistakes as opportunities for him to create something new, a live experience. I will say there's some musicality involved to be able to bounce back from wherever you are and still make it sound good. But the only way you're going to get better at doing that, being better on your feet, better at being able to control the situation, control your performance, is doing it over and over again. I highly encourage you to do it scared and do it as many times as you can. Instead of striving for perfection, what you're aiming for is making a good experience for yourself and the listeners. When it comes to live performance, it's a different animal. You are expressing yourself live and you want it to sound yes, 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 I know. You want it to sound as good as it did on the track. That's where your vocal conditioning comes in. That's where practice comes in. That's where rehearsal comes in. But during the performance is not the time to be critical about what skills you have and do not have, okay? Even if you're not where you want to be right now, that does not mean you can't have amazing live performances. One of the biggest reasons artists are not performing live is because they think they are not ready yet, and they keep moving the bar. They keep pushing the bar of what it means to be ready for live performance. Newsflash, here you go. Are you ready? You are never going to be ready for a live performance until you do it. Because as much as you rehearse by yourself, you are not going to get good at live performance without having live performances. You have to go to these open mics. You need to do the karaoke. When someone in your family at the cookout says, "Hey, I heard you sing," instead of saying, "Well, not really," baby, sing that song. Sing that song and build your live performance muscle. Build the resilience so that you can navigate how you feel when you're performing live and feel the difference. Understand there will be discomfort, but navigating through that discomfort only comes when you give yourself multiple opportunities to do so. So as many times as you feel nervous, a lot of times we think it's a bad performance just because we had nerves. That does not have to be the case. That could have just been another opportunity for you to practice the tools of being present in the moment, focusing on the phrase that you're on right now, how you can create a positive experience from that, and how you can control your body so that it doesn't get in the way of your performance, regulating your breath, relaxing the knees, pushing extra air out in between your phrases so you don't start getting caught up, being short in your breath, getting back to the diaphragm. Having those opportunities to use those tools will only make you better at bouncing back and creating those moments so that mistakes are no longer really mistakes anymore. They're just new opportunities for you to create a new experience. So I hope that helps if you've ever experienced performance anxiety. I know this has helped me so much. A lot of my students have been helped with this too. And I know there's a misconception that if somebody performs a lot that they don't experience anxiety. Sometimes we even look to how it sounds on the outside and decide, okay, this person looks like they're enjoying themselves. They sound really good. They must not experience performance anxiety. Here's the thing. Performance anxiety is something that's happening internally. So you cannot say if an artist has anxiety or not. If they're really seasoned, you wouldn't even be able to tell. And as much as this sounds like an empowering thing, it can be a little frustrating because it's like, wait, so you mean it never goes away? For some people, it's going to be a little bit more subdued than others. For some people, it does go away eventually, but for some people, it's still like a little low hum in the background, but it's not debilitating anymore. It doesn't stop them from performing anymore. Me personally, I have had gigs where I'm completely in my element and I feel zero anxiety at all. And I've had gigs within the same year that felt a lot more nerve-wracking. And I can't even tell you what the difference was between each gig. But the thing is, if I didn't have enough experience to try, I wouldn't be able to build the tools I needed to overcome my anxiety and still perform well. And that doesn't mean I'm nailing every performance. I have some, if you look deep back, you might catch a show or two where I was a little nervous. My voice is a little shaky in the beginning, or you hear my breath control kind of running out, okay? And then you see me gain control as I go. That happens too, okay? And you may be experiencing this too, but the more you do it, the easier it gets and the quicker it is for you to catch it, okay? I will say that. Until next time, happy singing.